Second co-main event coming up at UFC Noche. We have two ranked welterweights duking it out. It's the Trailblazer, Kevin Holland, taking on Jack Della Maddalena. An awesome fight, and for Kevin Holland, his last time out, big time bonus, getting the first round submission win over Michael Chiesa. For Jack Della Maddalena, tested as much as we've ever seen him tested inside of the UFC against Basel Hafez, and people can take that fight 6 ways to Sunday and tell you who they thought
I'm going to tell you what happened in this fight, because I get a big kick out of it. Jack Della won a fight that people thought was going to be super one-sided. So, everybody thought, hey, he's going to win by first round knockout. Since the fight was, I'll say kind of close. I gave him a 10-8 in round 3.
So did I.
So I thought it was 29-27.
So did I.
Kind of a close fight, I guess, if you lose a round. My point is, it was closer than people expected it to be, so it started this whole conversation of, oh, he lost this fight, where I just gotta be honest, I don't really see it. I've watched that fight 6 times now, and I've tried to score it as biasly against Maddalena as I possibly can, and I just think that's what the big conversation was coming out of the last match.
Hafez wins the first, the second round is competitive, but Della ends up getting the win.
In the third.
And then Hafez, having taken the fight on less than a week's notice, he gassed his arms out and everything. His energy systems weren't there, and it was nearly a 10-8 in the third for Della. But when you do consider it, Della just stacking the bonus cash in the bank coming into the UFC off of Contender Series, beating Ange Alusa, and after that Lusa win, beats Pete Rodriguez, and then the bonuses come in, beating Ramazan Ami, performance bonus, Danny Roberts, performance bonus, Randy Brown, performance bonus, and a big, tall, rangy striker similar to Kevin Holland, and now Della is here. And what do we like out of Jack Della? He can get it done in either stance. He can rip it to the body, and he's one of those unique fighters that'll mix that right in to the non-liver side, and it pays against his opponents. So when you look at a guy like Della, obviously we've seen the takedown defense can be an issue. We talked about that even before he was on Contender Series and in the UFC, but now it's a glaring hole, and you're going to see guys looking to exploit that. And for Kevin Holland, again, just his last time out against Chiesa, having success in the striking. I threw up some pictures there getting ready for the Holland-Chiesa fight where Holland's hitting the mitts with Eric Nixick and he's throwing a lot of the uppercuts to the pad. And what does he do to start that fight off?
I just love the thought of you sitting behind your computer like, doo-doo, I've seen something.
30 years of, the show, and that's just all I can think of. But Kevin Holland was going out there hitting Michael Chiesa with the uppercuts. Chiesa goes for the clinch. Holland pushes him down to the mat. And then as the fight continues, Chiesa gets caught in the darce. Holland rolls.
We've seen this story before.
It's the end of the pocket. But if you look at it for Kevin Holland, I mean, some losses to the wrestlers at 185. You look at the losses in the last 2, or at least the last 2 losses that he has. One to Khamzat Chimaev, where he considered retirement. One to Stephen Thompson in a fight of the night where the right hand was broken and he couldn't throw it. And then at the end, he gets finished on the stool. But if you look at a fight like this, Matt, it's gotta be of a little bit of like that Foreigner song. One of your favorites.
Urgent?
Head games! Because for Kevin Holland, his last fight in Vegas, and he's 6-3-1 with a no contest in Las Vegas proper, but his last fight at T-Mobile Arena was in that reshuffled one against Khamzat Chimaev up near the top of the card.
Yeah, they give him Alexa Grasso. They're like, oh, weird curveball.
He gets a very interesting one here against Jack Della Maddalena. Again, a wild time for Kevin Holland, the Apex star, but a really hard strength of schedule coming into this one. And these two guys, their styles match up so well to fight each other.
Could Della Maddalena perhaps stop Virgil Hill with a body shot? Oh, y'all must have forgot. I have a really fun time with this fight because I have no idea how it's going to go, and especially in all the areas that both guys are really good at. You rip the takedown defense of Maddalena, it is a concerning factor, but what's the one thing everyone's talked about with Kevin Holland? I don't know, for years since he's been fighting anybody good. Start back to the Thiago Santos fight in his UFC debut. The guy has great grappling. Like, his BJJ is very good. He's got great submissions. I do think he does a decent job defensively on the ground. The big problem with Holland is he can get out-muscled by stronger wrestlers when they get that top position, and his takedown defense isn't as good as the rest of his game at this point. Offensively, Kevin Holland is as talented of not only a striker, but an offensive grappler, as you will see. He can do a lot once he gets the fight going in his direction, but if he reacts to damage like he did in the Wonderboy Thompson fight in this fight, it's gonna be weird. Like, if he's turning his back, kind of walking away, just not reacting well to the strikes that Maddalena can land on him, Jack Della Maddalena is a really heavy-handed striker. And I know Kevin Holland had a broken hand in that fight. Like, he was going through quite a bit, but still, he was getting hit by shots and rocked on the feet. And if he gets into that same position against a guy like Della Maddalena, it might not be as, not that he didn't get stopped by Wonderboy Thompson, but he could get finished soon after.
So, I'm not throwing the graphics up there this time, but I'll mention it. Holland breaks the hand against Wonderboy. Seems like it's still healing. He fights Santiago Ponzinibbio, wins first round, wins second round. In the third round, Ponzinibbio is a rallying, and Holland is jabbing and kicking his way to a win. He's not throwing the right hand. You see the finishing sequence? What does he do? Right hand,
Crack.
left hand, and it's over. That was pretty well the only solid right hand that Holland landed in that Ponzinibbio fight, and that's why I mentioned he was throwing it as an uppercut, and he was throwing it against Chiesa, so hopefully it's doing better. It seems like it's doing better, but I don't know that because I'm not Kevin Holland. So when I look at this fight, Matt, for Della, he's got things to pick up on to where he could have success. When you crowd Kevin Holland, sometimes there's a pullback with no counter, and you're able to land against him. Sometimes he gets caught behind the black lines, and then he can be a sitting duck. Or he does have good movement laterally.
Shots down the middle like an MF or two.
Kevin Holland has really good movement, but sometimes he will kind of get himself caught against the fence, freeze. And yes, his jabs and his straights are very good, but that's to where Della can start to attack the body, attack the head. The thing that I hate about this is it's a fight night with a title in the main event. It's at a big arena with a lot of fans. Robbie Lawler, Nick Diaz was 5 rounds. I don't understand why this isn't 5 rounds.
That's a great point.
But when I look at this matchup, Matt, for Della, I'll be interested to see. I mean, he's gone out there against a good puncher, gone tit for tat, and come out on the winning end in Angelusa, and we've seen how good Luce has been since that point. So I also have a hard time making a pick on this one. I can preview it till the end of days.
This is the fight that I went back to, though, and I think it told me the most out of both guys in their fighting style. I think Kevin Holland's going to look like he did against Joaquin Buckley. And I know Buckley made his debut against Kevin Holland in that matchup. So, listen, it was on short notice. But guess what? Joaquin Buckley's a good fighter. He might not be top 15. He might not be ranked any time in his career. But I think we all know that he's not a bad fighter by any means. And what does he do? He puts his hands up, he moves his head left to right, gets very low, and then responds with boxing combinations and blitzes. Maddalena puts his hands up, doesn't get nearly as low, but still, you get the idea. Marches forward, uses a lot of those boxing combinations. If he can crowd the distance so much that Kevin Holland just almost overreaches when he does try to land his shots, then okay, Maddalena's going to be able to win this fight. But I think Holland's going to hit him with counter shots down the middle on the way in. That's really going to keep him from just standing in that pocket without anything coming back his way. So I feel like a lot of people would be surprised that I'm not picking Maddalena in this fight, but I do have Kevin Holland, and I just think the way he strikes is going to be a good counter for what Maddalena tries to do.
It was announced today, the Marcel Dorp bomb, it's like a Woj bomb, that Joaquin Buckley's going to be fighting another Texan fighter, a guy who loves to commentate MMA fights. It's Alex Morono, so look out for that welterweight fight.
A fight that makes me happier than it should.
Joaquin Buckley, I also went back and watched that fight, and for that reason I have Kevin Holland. Now, you shouldn't just base it off of one fight. Go back and watch fights and make your own approximations, but Holland a slight favorite. The odds are very, very close. We have a look over in Topology. I'm going to say over under 65% Holland?
I think they'll be under. I think Maddalena will be the favorite.
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, 844 total votes, 55% Maddalena, 44% by decision, 49% by knockout. For the 45% that have Holland, 40% by decision, 27% by submission, 28% by knockout. Would it surprise you if Holland pulled his game plan like he did against Alex Oliveira? Struggling a little bit with the strikes, get her down to the mat, bud.
This is my problem with Kevin Holland. When he does decide to use his own grappling, this is my thing with any guy who is a primary striker. I know Holland's a grappler, but still, you get the idea. His wrestling isn't at the forefront of his game. When you go from your primary skill set to your secondary skill set and try to flip it up all of a sudden, you're going to leave holes and openings. The people who primarily use that as their skill set, be it the wrestling for Kevin Holland, just aren't going to leave. And for Holland, he will get really long on some of his takedown attempts. He will leave himself exposed, and if he does decide to do that and leave his head in the wrong place, Maddalena has insane power up close, and if Holland is leaning on him, trying to get the takedown in one of those awkward positions up against the cage, I think Maddalena can make him pay for it. So that's why I do think Holland's going to be hesitant to go out and wrestle a lot, but if he hurts Maddalena with a shot, I don't think he's going to try to finish him up with ground and pound. I think we will see Kevin Holland switch to that grappling mode and try to get the win via sub.
And you've seen Della be able to get the win, especially against Ramazan Amib. Gets taken down early, pops back up, Bob's your uncle, sends them down like a sack of potatoes. We are in agreement on this one, but not with the fans. Both of us going with Trailblazer Kevin Holland to get the win. Let us know who you have. Please, down below in that comment section, toss a like and we move it forward. Title fight in the rematch in the main event. Alexa Grasso taking on Valentina Shevchenko. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say.
Let's get into it.